Welcome everybody to the 10th CHS Poetry Slam. Yes, I've been doing this for 10 years, and only because the event keeps getting bigger and better, and we keep getting more and more poetry submissions, and the talent keeps getting better and better because kids are working on it, I think, at earlier ages. Now we have the Voices for Change event that welcomes 6th through 12th graders as well. So I'm excited to have that talent pool coming up here. Who knew that so much talent would be a problem? Because every year we have to make really, really difficult cuts. So if there's anybody in the crowd today who did submit and had the bravery but didn't make it on tonight's lineup, I want the crowd to give them a round of applause, please. I look forward every year to this event because it gives my students a spotlight and a stage for a voice. And I think everybody in this room can agree that a voice is becoming more and more important nowadays as the world becomes a little bit harsher and harder to navigate. I hear, unfortunately, I can say it now, like members of my generation, like old people saying that you guys lack a voice, don't work hard, too much screen time. But I would challenge anyone to come to an event like this and not leave inspired. All right? You can clap for that. All right? The voices you hear tonight are going to be genuine, they're going to be relevant, they're going to be varied. It's going to be rated somewhere between PG-13 and R, some sort of a... You're going to hear some harsh topics and some funny topics, but you're going to hear real, genuine voices. This is a place where varied opinions are respected, so no matter if you agree with the content, you've got to respect the courage and the bravery and the talent on stage. I get older and a little bit softer and more proud, and I couldn't be more proud of my committee this year for putting together a fantastic show. Clap for them. That's good. And every year I pick a very talented and smart and organized point person so I don't have to do a whole lot of work. And this year she really blew it out of the water. Jaren, stand up. Obviously, I want to also thank Lead and Independence Television and Amy Seaman and her crew for helping us put on tonight's show. We're going to open up the show tonight with a performance from one of my senior IB students with the song Almost Is Never Enough. Kristen Abraham, everybody.
I'd like to say you gave it a try. I'd like to blame it all on life. Maybe we just weren't right, but that's a lie. That's a lie. And we can't deny it as much as we want. But in time, our feelings will show. 'Cause sooner or later, we'll wonder why we gave up. When the truth is, everyone knows. Almost is never enough. So close to being in in love. If I would have known that you wanted me the way I wanted you, then maybe we wouldn't be two worlds apart, but right here in each other's arms. Yeah, we almost knew what love was. Almost is never enough. If I could change the world overnight, there'd be no such thing as goodbye. You'll be standing right where you were, and we'll get the chance we deserve. Try to deny it as much as you are, but in time our feelings will show. 'Cause sooner or later we'll wonder why we gave up, when the truth is everyone knows. Almost is never enough. So close to being in love. If I would have known that you wanted me the way I wanted you, then maybe we wouldn't be two worlds apart, but right here in each other's arms. Yeah, we almost knew what love was. Almost is never enough. Almost is never enough.
Every year we bring back an alumni poet. This year we're bringing back a fella who graduated 3 years ago, now attends U of M, has almost graduated, and has been helping the poets out and workshopping. Joining us tonight with his poem Superman, Trevor Torres.
On my 6th birthday, I fell off my bike into a swamp and discovered a mud-covered action figure that someone else had discarded like trash. It went on to become my favorite. It was weathered, paints chipped, joints creaked like he'd already been to a battle, and I wanted to be like him. Now, every year, there's hundreds of thousands of Superman action figures flying off assembly lines. Most are intact and identical, a testament to quality control. My plastic mold wasn't without its mess of manufacturer defects, like nut allergies, asthma, diabetes, migraines, eczema, celiac, several working organs recalled and used as replacement parts for a game of operation. I still remember being diagnosed with juvenile diabetes in a brown-walled emergency room waiting area where the Walking Dead checked Twitter. When a frazzled nurse, more concerned about her next cup of coffee than the serious role she played in my story, stifled a snort and burst out, "Yeah, he probably has diabetes." And there, among the alcohol swabs and tacky educational pamphlets and my mom's repressed panic, we have my origin story. My lightning storm, spider bite, secret weakness. Type 1 diabetes affects 1.25 million Americans, and at first, it was easy. Everyone thought I was awesome for just staying positive, as if that was as impossible as leaping tall buildings in a bound, but it was bound to be unsustainable. And 6 years later, it just feels like brushing your teeth all the time. Almost used to constant fingertip scars and getting weirded out about getting stuck in elevators because I know I would die of low blood sugar before help arrived. When I found out I had celiac disease, I was blindsided in the middle of breakfast. Best friend looked on in confusion as I processed a phone call about a blood test I didn't even remember. His medical setbacks sneak up on you with nefarious grins, but this is what I'd been training for, so I added celiac to my rogues gallery with a shrug and a smile. When bystanders learn about my fight scene montage with death, how I calculate and ingest and inject and carry this bag of medications on my back like the cape that it is, they always react the same way. Their face says, "Your toy is broken." Their voice says, "I could never do that." And yeah, sometimes I don't feel like Superman. More like that toy I found in the swamp who'd have returned himself to the store if he could. But this body doesn't come with a return policy, and I'm not rolling myself into the mud just waiting for someone else to come along and pick me up. That beat-up toy was my favorite anyway. I'd rather be him than Superman any day, and I know that this body, toy, soul still wakes up every morning. Still lifts weights every week, still floods with endorphins every day, from poems to dates to parkour, and unlike Superman, I have no kryptonite.
Every year we ask the poets to come up with something to introduce themselves. This year they came up with a 3-word poem. This poet's 3-word poem is "Call Your Mom," with her poem Memoir, Emma Barnes.
Is that good? Yeah.
I like the way sleeping feels like writing yourself a new story. This story is big and blurry and doesn't make as much sense as my unwritten memoir. I like the way closing your eyes is closing the day and opening a new one where the birds chirp Sufjan songs and poop glitter. I don't like pooping. I knew someone once who liked pooping. I didn't really like them very much. Taking baths reminds me of old films and swimming in the ocean. Apparently, if you stay in the bath too long, you'll turn into a prune. Once, I stayed in for 4 hours straight, catching water drops in my hand and holding onto them tight, but I was the same old me. My mother called up and asked what I was doing, and I replied, "Evaporating." What I meant was I was soaking. As much as it felt like my body was being lifted and disapparating into the air, I was still there, still the same old me. What I meant was I was drowning while still being able to taste air. The water turned cold, but my skin was a stretched out thermos. I was swimming in an ocean only the length of my body, but I didn't need to worry about wild fishermen catching me while my eyes were closed. The only thing catching me was me and the marble bottom of my one-person ocean, but even that could crumble. Apple crumble pie would be more delicious if it didn't crumble and I wasn't so messy. I don't just mean messy like stain on your white shirt, embarrass yourself on the first date, or every date messy. I mean messy like most of the time the right words are there, just hidden somewhere. Messy like I swear I know where that thing I'm missing is. Someone must have misplaced it. Or else there is a ghost in this house. Have I ever mentioned that my hands are more vocal than my voice is? No, I haven't. I must have written it down somewhere then. Well, my hands hold a melody that my voice does not. They can carry a tune to the bottom of the page and to the top of the page, to the bottom of the page. And have I mentioned that I hate writing essays? Or I guess I just hate starting essays, but once the introductions and hellos and how are yous are over, I'm okay. I hate writing essays, but I love writing stories. I love writing stories like I love masquerading down my driveway during the first snowfall, and my fingers clench into stiff stiffness to remind my skin to keep breathing. Breathing is hard, I understand. It's harder when my dreams consist of living under the surface, but my lungs hate the taste of salt water. What I mean is, if this were a Disney Channel original movie, I'd be Shark Boy and my temper would be Lava Girl. Dancing is my passion. What I mean is, sometimes when I'm home alone, I choreograph dances in my basement and pretend I'm in the Russian ballet. What I mean is, being alone is the easiest way to have fun without my palms getting all sweaty. I'd consider myself a glass half full type of person. I'm pink lemonade and I know myself that much. The rest I'll figure out later. See, I'm still learning to love the parts of me that cry when no one is looking. The parts that cry when everyone is looking scare me. Hey, do you ever just pick at the grass in your front yard and imagine you're trimming the earth's hair? Well, the earth's whispered in my ear and told me they've thought about dyeing their hair too. It's too bad people don't think purple grass and purple trees are normal. I am a lonely friend. I know how talking goes, but I've never spoken in my life. I believe in all the charming things life holds. I believe in pajama day every day. I believe in not ceasing to love someone unless they are not worthy of your love, and you're everything. I believe in holding people close. Every ceiling tile, every door and knob and window and brick and shard of glass and rooftop and foundation and home is the place I feel most beautiful. There's something so stunning about touching another person and becoming instantly warm. Do you think the world would explode if every living thing simultaneously turned into penguins? My world exploded when I first locked eyes and felt instant sparks, and I'm talking 4th of July level sparks with who was soon to be my first love. His name was Dudley. He had the floppiest ears and most divine tail wag I'd ever seen in my life. I wish I could say the world exploding left me with a lightning scar on my forehead. It didn't. Life goes on. Sometimes I have to remind myself this, or otherwise my feet will go sore from staying in one place too long. Sometimes I have to remind myself that my eyes have not seen all that they wish to see, and my mouth has not tasted every sky and every wind and seascape, but it still remembers how to breathe. I understand that I am November, and I don't know what being alive feels like. Thank you.
This next poet's 3-word poem is, I don't know. With her poem, Yes, No, Maybe So, Mary Shutty.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I know I'm a teenager, and none of us know what we're doing unless we're Kiera Quigley or Mitchell Biggs, but I'm kind of scared. Everything will probably be fine, and I'm just overreacting, but the thing is, ever since I was little, I knew what my future was. Become famous doing something, marry Daniel Radcliffe, have 4 kids, name one Jeremy and one Amber, and the other 2 I'll figure out later, and then I'll buy lots of expensive clothes and sleep in a lot and never worry about anything. And not to brag or anything, but that's a really good idea. I mean, everyone else in elementary talked about how they wanted to be a veterinarian or a teacher. I knew how unrealistic and small-minded their goals were. Mine had imagination. I mean, I had everything set, and it wasn't until about 6th grade that I realized I didn't actually know Daniel Radcliffe. I didn't really have any skills to make me famous. I didn't really have any skills at all. And I had no money except my weekly $10 allowance, which is usually spent at the $1 section at Target, so. Then I had to change my plans. Although my heart will always belong to the 5'5" Harry Potter actor, I knew I had to create a more stable plan for my future. The main problem was, the ideas of what your life could be kind of dwindle as you get older and reality sets in, so there I was, facing the unknown with laziness at my right and mediocrity at my left. The first thing to deal with was my lack of motivation. You know, the failure, the procrastinating, it all had to stop, but I deal with that later. So then I had to tackle my general lack of skill. I knew how people got famous. They sang or wrote or acted in something good enough that someone thought they deserved a miniature made of gold for it, and Leonardo DiCaprio didn't get one for so long because it was funny and there were no nominees of color this year because obviously there wasn't anyone talented that wasn't white. But that's getting into something totally different that I promised myself I wouldn't get into, so back to me. The problem with me becoming famous is that I didn't really have anything nice to get me there. I thought I was a people person, you know, like people enjoyed my company and didn't think I was like terrible and loud, but apparently I'm not very good at reading people because it turns out I am terrible and loud. So then there was singing. Perfect. I should have bought you flowers and held your hand. Should have changed the song's gender pronouns when I had the chance. 'Cause I'm insecure with my gender identity, and now everyone's gonna automatically assume that I'm a dude or I'm a lesbian. Oh God, not another lesbian. Okay, scratch that singing thing. But then there was writing. People read what you write and they don't really care about what you look like because they can't see you. And at a very young age, I showed promising signs of becoming a famous poet. Here's one from 3rd grade named Ocean. Hello, hey, hi. I would never want to cry. I smell something. Is it pie? No, wait, it's math books. Why? See, not really sure why it was called Ocean. Not really sure what was going on in my head at all, and whatever it was, there must not have been very much of it. But acting, I mean, sure, there's the wage gap problem for women and the sexism in media coverage for women and the lack of respect and action for women being sexually assaulted in their field by their producers. So yeah, there's a lot of problems for acting in women, but let's face it, there's a lot of problems for women no matter what they're doing. So I guess acting isn't really gonna work, because look at Scarlett Johansson, she couldn't answer another stupid rabbit food question, or now where's her Black Widow movie? Nowhere. So back to drawing board. I suppose I could do the brave thing and try to fight my way through the gender barriers and become a scientist or a mathematician, but what does a mathematician even do? I would love to go into space, but my grades have really decided against it, and I know it's stereotypical, but I just don't like math. I mean, I could always try to move to LA and woo someone famous with my dry sarcasm and cynically annoying view of everything, but I don't really have any money. And I would get a job, but not a lot of people like 15-year-old chubs that can't drive, so let's recap. Singing is out, writing is out, acting is out, science is out, math is out. I guess I could become a historian, but let's be real, they don't even make any money, and I really don't know what being a historian means, so that's out too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I have some talents. I can lick my elbow. I can casually bring up how time isn't real in a normal conversation. I can do the splits, and I can give great advice on something I have no experience with. I mean, I'm not really sure what the point of this poem is, and if you're expecting to hear something inspirational about how you can succeed even with no skills at all, I am so sorry, because all I'm trying to say is that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm kind of scared. Thanks.
This next poet's 3-word poem is IKEA Cinnamon Rolls. With her poem, My Starlight, Hanna, Jeung.
She is starlight, like the constellation-folded sky. Her light is humble.
never calling particular attention to her star, keeping my world in line with her gravitational pull. God knows I would be lost in metaphorical space without her. She inherently knows how every street crosses over which other street. The turning of the universe is no secret to her. Fun fact, last month I took a wrong turn to school and ended up in Detroit. Starlight burns away to illuminate my tomorrow, and stellar complex has she burned. The world is not always kind. Sometimes life's In the 1920s, Arthur Eddington proposed stellar nucleosynthesis, the process by which natural abundance of chemical elements within stars change by nuclear fusion. So when life's up, you bet your Starlight has nuclear fusioned that into something new and beautiful. Starlight is an artist, current medium herself. If she is Starlight, then I am a meteor, younger, far more blunt, hiding in the shadows of the universe, a rampant nomad. She is fair, like Starlight, or Wonder Bread. Myself somewhere between whole grain and pumpernickel, her bronze curls, moss eyes, and starlight skin, reflecting back a darker shade. Where did you get your children? They'll ask. From my womb is what I would have said, but Starlight is far more polite than I. Starlight's empathy has put the weight of the sky on her. Starlight, she tied my strings on dark roast coffee, a full bookshelf, and IKEA cinnamon rolls. When 6-year-old me planted a half-deer-eaten tomato, diligently watering it each day, she just smiled, filling my watering can for me. Starlight gave up hitchhiking across Europe, her seaside cottage, her peace of mind, courageously leaving all her dreams behind to raise 4 kids. Starlight was there, in darkness and in light. When I should have shared words of intimacy, I filled the galaxies between us with the crude discussions of logistics. Some money here, a ride there, strangers under the same roof. She wanted me to dress like a summer garden when I wanted to dress like Wednesday Addams, and she encouraged me to be a neurosurgeon, but she surely did not expect the idiocy of a starving artist to hit her gene pool. She gave me Kohl's bras, and I asked to go to Victoria's Secret, and she told me to wear my pant size as I just wanted to squeeze my thighs a bit thinner. She told me she wouldn't stop loving me as I snuck out windows and took half a dozen too many hits and abandoned my schoolwork and denouncing her through my tears. And I didn't trust her, wouldn't talk to her, wouldn't tell her my dreams, didn't want her direction or hugs or German help. So I grew up behind closed doors. But it's funny what a few revolutions around the sun will do. Funny how much of the universe a star can know. Starlight, as different as our morals may be, our spiritualities may be, our politics may be, I don't think the conflict lies in our differences, but because we are too similar. We are both clearly, distinctly ourselves, and we are strong, perhaps too strong. But thank you, Starlight. Thank you for full eyebrows and fuller thighs. Thank you, Starlight. Thank you for guiding me through the darkness, even if your light has only just reached me. Thank you, Mom.
This next poet's 3-word poem is I'm Half Amish, with Prodigal Son, Elijah Olsen.
How long has it been since you let yourself be held? Since you let go of all the fear, pain, worry, betrayal, you yourself have been holding. How long has it been since you let someone else carry your suffering? Listen, my prodigal son, when I tell you not to let it be long, not to let it be long until you leave your pain to me, until you come back home, because trust me, I won't let you stay away forever. So why, my son, do you turn on me, demanding what right I have to bear your burdens, to carry your pain, to tell you everything will be all right in the end? Make no mistake, I know where you have been. At every single one of your lowest lows, I was right there with you. Let me hold you. I was there when you were paralyzed by your fear of everyone and everything. It was not just you. It was not just you. I've also been afraid. In the middle of my terror, I wept tears of blood so that, of all people, you alone would never have to fear for yourself. Let me hold you. I was there when you were all alone, thrown into the midst of strangers. Listen when I tell you I too have been lonely. Deserted by my closest friends, left to my enemies. I was abandoned by everyone I love, just so that you, the son who abandoned me, would never have to be left alone. Let me hold you. I was there when you were betrayed by those closest to you. I was betrayed by a brother, someone I called a friend. I was cast out and rejected, all that so you would never have to be turned away. Why then, my beloved son, do you turn your hate towards me? Why do you curse me, strike me, spit in my face? My only wish was to hold you as tight in my arms as you held your pain in yours. My prodigal son, my prodigal daughter, let me hold you when you tell yourself that you're pitiful, foolish, and worthless, that there's no God in heaven above that would let this happen to you, that there's no one above or below who would let you carry these burdens alone. Listen when I say I already have. Listen when I say I always will. Listen when I say that my wrists have bled too. You pierced them when you feared me. You struck me when you deserted me. And you stretched my arms wide when you ran from me. But that's all right, my prodigal son, because now I can hold you.
This next poet's three-word poem is We're Still Here, with Sympathy, Lorraine Walsh.
My dad says, have sympathy when I rant about rampant homophobia. They were raised in a different time, he says. In a different place, he says. And although this may be true, I find it nearly impossible to dig sympathy out of my bitter gut. How can I have sympathy when my family automatically assumes my spouse will be a husband? When my mother said that my sexuality shattered her dreams for my future family? When the first thing my dad said to me when I came out was, God, you're a lot of work. The tangle of anger I hold inside traps sympathy like a net whenever I try to feel it for them. Instead, anger catapults out in screams of utter frustration that I have to catch in my mouth and swallow back down. I dig my nails into my palms to keep from screaming. When my uncle spills venom, he's disguised as kindness. When he preaches to me, when he says he'd vote against my future, when I know I couldn't stop him, when he tries to put his religion in charge of the world, I am a walking controversy. My existence, they say, is a sin. But should they be saying anything at all? Should the words of their holy book not catch hatred like the net that catches mine? Keep the words from vomiting out of their mouth and covering the country? Believe me, I know I'm supposed to have sympathy. But how can I have sympathy for those who have no sympathy for me?
with her 3-word poem, Don't Hurt Yourself, performing Make America Great Again, Kiera Quigley.
Thank you. I know poets that can put your beats to shame, artists that illustrate truths more touching than yours without the miserable desire for fame. This town and the resort in Siesta Key are all you know, but just for a second, roll down the tinted window of your daddy's Camaro. Answer me this. If Malala recorded a track for her SoundCloud, would she add the sound of gunshots just for edge? Could the bullet that pierced her skull wedge some perspective into your swollen head? The poor begging at your feet are not material for a fire line about the streets. You may not borrow the pain of others, you may not dilute and smother real suffering in the name of covering up the fact that you are 17 years old and your lyrics are weak. In staying on trend, let's stray from feeding off of the oppressed. And so when you get dressed, try to digest the repressed culture which you are stealing from. You say you want to celebrate a silenced people, so give this a shot. Instead of making your hair into locks and using a vocabulary which you cannot and should not, give thought to the persecution of a community which never stood a chance against a law concerned only with its own immunity, because I swear if I hear one more white kid use the N-word, I'm gonna lose it. October 8th, 2015, Donald Trump vows to make America great again, and in unison the country shouted, "Amen." It would make sense to consider the implications of our words now and again. If you say charity starts at home, tell me, how much good did you do with that $5 bill I know stayed safe in your pocket all the way from Hockey Town to the parking garage, from Tiger Stadium to the parking garage, from the Fox to the parking garage? Please tell me more about the eyesore of a city you've seen approximately 5 blocks of. Baby, won't you come my way? Got something I want to say. Baby, if I had it my way, every declaration of Menonism in this nation would make their case to one of 3,000 faces battered by mutilation. 3 milliliters of hydrochloric acid in chemistry class can't hold a candle or a Bunsen burner to women in Pakistan and Cambodia and Nepal and India and Vietnam and China and Iran and Afghanistan and Bangladesh, who will never see again because of what's between their legs. On the subject of acid, let's take a trip. 5 minutes used to get a grip on something larger than your brand new whip or your nene. 2.7 million shelter pets left for dead so your perfect family can have a perfect purebred, or tens of billions of farm animals mistreated and neglected by a law who turn a blind eye because they're not worth a damn until they're served with a side of fries. When your athlete's profile is your biography, when a 5-mile radius from your favorite smoking spot is your only sense of geography, when the most moving film you viewed is pornography, when your biggest concern is with the physiology of the person the next stall over, tell me, when is the last time you issued an apology? I forgot, you have nothing to confess. You didn't ask to be born straight, white, and rich. You're just #blessed. Are you doing your best to guess the enormity of every decision you make and every breath that you take that exists without purpose? We can't afford to live without purpose. One day I will tell my daughter that yes, it really does damn near sound like a sad song, that the blood of sacrifice had come from those who had long been bled dry, that kids with 2 good eyes and perfectly viable minds would turn their backs on the suffering in the name of being fly, in the name of getting high. She will ask why.
Why are our priorities so wrong? Where has our empathy gone? I'll say, but hey, someone was always willing to pass the baton.
This next poet's three-word poem is What Are Them? With Borrowed Blood, Nate Gipe.
In 1889, Raphael Esposito baked a brand new kind of food to honor the Queen Consort of Italy. He called his flatbread, topped with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil, pizza. And since then, pizza has remained the pinnacle of human culinary achievement. Fast forward a couple decades to the 1950s. Dr. J.G. Armstrong and his team began researching the medicinal properties of a plant indigenous to Madagascar called Catharanthus roseus. From their study, they created vincristine, a drug effective in the treatment of cancer, especially children's leukemia. 40 years later, in 1994, my parents had a baby with type O positive blood and a particular set of biological cell markers. That baby was my older sister, Katie. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia, cancer of the blood. My treatment began almost immediately after my diagnosis, and my doctors wasted no time in administering powerful cocktails of chemotherapy drugs. Because of the constant nausea, I struggled to eat food and keep my weight up. However, one of the few foods I never got tired of, one I could always eat, even on some of my worst days, was pizza. And among the chemo drugs I received was a medicine called vincristine, without which my eventual remission would not have been possible. And when we decided I was to proceed with a bone marrow transplant, my sister Katie was a perfect match to be my donor. Perfect blood type, perfect blood cell markers, and directly related to me. Now, pizza was not made for me. Vincristine was not invented for the sole purpose of keeping me alive, and Katie was not born for my sake. And yet I believe that I would not be here if it were not for those things. Fun fact, if you were to draw my blood and look at its DNA through a microscope, it would not be mine. It would be Katie's, with a double X genotype and coding for brown curly hair and brown eyes. Another fun fact, if you wanted to get my blood with my DNA, you could not. It's impossible. My bone marrow is gone. Completely destroyed. None of it is left. The blood of Nate Gipe is eternally, irreversibly erased. And yet here I stand, body and soul, minus the blood. Modern science is amazing. I will live the rest of my life, however long, pumping someone else's blood through my veins. I persist on borrowed blood. But enough about me. This poem is about all of us, or more specifically, you, because contrary to what you may think, you live on borrowed blood too. I mean, think about it. You could have died of meningitis when you were a kid, or you could have drowned on that vacation you took last summer, or you could have been in a fatal car accident on the way to this slam, but you weren't. You exist because the conditions were just right, and everything came together just so, whether it be due to the machinations of some higher being or pure chance and dumb luck. Here you are. And the fact that you are here, because there are a lot of ways that you might not have been, means something. It means right now, against all odds, you are one of only 7 billion known sentient beings out of the entire universe that has the capability, the massive potential to affect positive change. You are here, so you have the power, maybe even the responsibility, to do something about it. Now, before I get too idealistic, let me just say, I realize that our world is not always a beautiful place. There are so many issues, so many arguments, so much hate and anger. There's pain, there's hurt, there's suffering, believe me, I know. and blinding ourselves to the very real and overwhelming problems we face won't get us anywhere. Denying problems doesn't solve them, but neither does acknowledging them and doing nothing. No matter how bleak the future, no matter how cynical society becomes, no matter how cynical you become, do not forget this single fact. You are here. To be innocent is not to be naive. To be hopeful is not to be ignorant. To believe in something bigger and better than yourself is not wishful thinking. Your blood, it's borrowed. Make sure you don't waste the gift.
This next poet's 3-word poem is Don't Get Lost. With Commencement, Liam Stickle.
That's a good one, Dave. Yeah, Eminem said it right. Your palms do get sweaty, your knees are weak, and your arms are heavy. But there's no vomit on my sweater. I didn't have spaghetti, I had Leo's before this. So. I'm glad someone found that was funny. This isn't a comedy act, though. The first breath into your world when you had nothing to care for, and you know nothing or see nothing except for this bright light. Not a light at the end of a tunnel, but it's like a funnel at the beginning. Nothing to worry about except for 10 people. Strangers to your face, but in this case, they're all in this one place for one reason. Standing around you, hugging, crying, tears of joy and happiness, for yet another bright mind has entered this world. First fired through an overwhelming rapid start, a part of your life that you may never remember, and start of surrendering your youth, the beginning of tightening your theoretical noose, all the way to 3 years of age, you turn the page where nothing matters. It all drops on you like a huge, gigantic weight. You're not worried about if you're going to lose your job or pay the bills or the juice your son just spilled on the carpet, the divorce papers you haven't signed yet, the insurance payment, the car payment, the house payment, the hospital payment, a stressful day at work because you forgot your coffee at home, the dog is outside, you didn't hit the garage door button, the front door is unlocked, and you didn't empty the dryer of your socks. And on top of this exceptionally crappy day, you're stuck in rush hour traffic, eating your crappy burnt bagel and drinking your cold coffee. But what if we were able to change a system? See, some of us aren't stable, but no, not as stable as a horse would lay. Okay, but like a horse's drive and power to get through this never-ending course. A steady steed of breathing and hard work. Feel the air on your tongue and let it succumb to the pain and the truth that you have become. You're consumed by this frustration for what? All to come to a job where your boss is a jerk who you probably hate, but you keep your saying for both your sake, and he's about 10 years younger than you, entering your office day in and day out, pushing pencils and filtering through papers and looking at a monitor screen all day. And in the end, these voices just banging on your head like an iron fist, constricting your voice to say anything or do anything. You drench your body in caffeine to stay awake like a zombie, for the sad truth is that you have a passion with an empty plan. Somewhere along the road, you lost touch of your inner soul, because as animals, we eat what we are given from the table. See, school doesn't teach us to be what we want. They don't teach us to follow our passion. They don't teach us to speak our mind. They don't teach us to drive for what we want. They don't teach us to drive, pave our own path. And let's move to math. They hand us a set of numbers, an equation, and say, here, memorize this. You have a week. And if you cannot memorize this upon all the other pile of things I'm going to give you this semester, then I will fail you. See, that is a shame, because the story of him or her is that you don't know their capabilities. I am not the same as him or her or you. It's a memorization game we play like card games named Walsh, except it is a load of BS, and I can attest to the way that we all forget this information right after the test. But they turn a blind eye to the figure in their mind. They are creating a difference when in fact they are creating a system where our dreams are robbed at gunpoint, a system where our voices are snatched from our mouths like a backhand to the face, a system. They tell us to wake up at 6 and be here by 7:25, and if we're not, we wait in a line blind to the scenario to get a blue piece of paper that scribbles on it, "You're late." Like, thank you for telling me something that I already knew. Running late, stressing over exams, we cram and we cram, we take it as open bait to a starving fish in an open pool. We must think of ourselves as fools to be tugged on from a constant spool. We don't know any better. I find it funny that the kid that is being called names and is being mentally killed and pushed down and not feeling like he belongs is second to the kid that is wearing a hat in the hall. We don't know any better. Or how we go through our day behind a desk, taking in this information, this endless sensation of elaboration, we're at a point where it's all a bunch of frustration that half of us sleep through and don't even make it to be an expectation. We sit here like emptiness in a body of such cleanliness and restlessness, like a straight line. We cannot see the sign following one road with no return until we burn. We burn because we have no voice. We burn because we are blind. We burn because we lose touch of our dreams. We burn until we get to this point. When do we ask, is it our turn? See, we start at a young age, turning our page at a war that has already been waged like an elephant that has been caged. I don't hate school. I love school. I hate the system. Kids shouldn't have to be fearsome. I hate to feel like a victim. See, we're all like well-kept pistons of wisdom. It's this constant rhythm for what? All a big income. Well, let me tell you something. I have a soul. I have a mind. I have thoughts. I have love. I have eyes I can see. I have ears I can hear. I have seen the good. I have seen the bad. I have heard them cry and I've heard them laugh. And yes, I would like to pave my own path. So when someone comes over to you and says, hey, come in this line, be in this line of filtered information and blurred expectations, and don't be a compilation of past generations, shake their hand, look them in the eye. Don't lie and don't sigh. Say, no thank you, I'm fine. This is my time. Thank you.
With her 3-word poem, he's here tonight. With her poem, A Few Rules for Ending a Relationship, Meghan Forshey.
A few rules for ending a relationship. I'm ending it, so let me tell you what this means. No more late-night phone calls pulling on my consciousness, making me struggle for waking breath because the sound of your voice used to pull me under. Now it keeps me awake. It used to always take hours to hang up because neither of us would really want to say goodnight. No more kissing. I don't want to mix my energy with yours in the form of stolen passion, trying not to get caught on sidewalks at midnight in the backseat waiting for the lights to come on. No more love poems. No more spilling out blood on pages in order to say how we feel because we couldn't say it to each other's faces. No more talking about our future. No more saying, I'll take you to every ocean, and how we should move to New York and make a living out of playing guitar in Central Park. You used to always say, wow, the world will look so great when we're on top of it. No more saying, I love you. No more back and forth, I love you more. I don't think that's possible. And no more of that smile you used to get when I said it first because you were too shy. I ended it for us, so please, no more late-night phone calls. It reminds me of the way you would fall asleep on the other side of a screen because you were too worried to leave me alone and too tired to stay awake. No more kissing. It will make me forget how to breathe long enough to make me remember why. No more love poems because I kept all the ones you wrote me, and knowing they're from the past is the only thing keeping me sane. No more talking about our future because I know we can't have one. No more saying, I love you. It will make me remember how much I want to say it back. Thank you.
the three-word poem Never Lose Yourself with Fractures and Fissures, Skyler Griggs.
There's a lot more people when you're standing up here. Now you see, I was raised in a Minecraft-style world filled with only blocks and cubes. I just tried to fit into this body that was assigned to me, but the skin split, fractures, fissures. They tried calling me beautiful or pretty. They tried telling me how I should be happy, that that's just who I am. They tried to tell me that I would make a wonderful girlfriend to a strong man. Fractures, fissures. They told me not to worry, I was unique. They told me I could learn to cook and clean. They told me my chest would grow bigger someday when I just tried to hide it under my hoodie. Fractures, fissures. They said to stop skateboarding. They said that football wasn't girly. They said I should hang out with girls more to try and fit in. Fractures, fissures. Finally, I started spilling out of this body, slowly at first, but then it all broke open, like water rushing, overcoming a dam. I screamed out, I'm not your daughter, your sister, your female friend. This is not me. I took my body and I molded and mended it slowly into myself. I am BMXing, I am band, I am punk concerts. I am my mohawk and the scars that run down my arms like lines on a page. I am a self-made man, more or less from my own plans. I am a tough twig of a man, voice lowered only by command. I am a non-bio boy whose body is Y chromosome devoid. Nevertheless, I am no less boy. I am pumped with synthetic hormone drugs, restless and adolescent stumped.
With the three-word poem, Always Be Honest, with the title of the poem, Slam Poem, Claire Galligan.
My voice starts out all trembly and soft as I string out similes like pearls on a necklace, like shattered glass on a frame, like palms with fingers intertwined. Long pause as I suck in a shaky breath and my voice starts gaining strength and volume and my hand motions are getting bigger, so you know I'm being really passionate right now. I can't help but feel that lately slam poems are dotted with cliches like constellations across the night sky. So many similarities that they form the entire Big Dipper and even Orion's Belt, but I don't think poetry was ever supposed to resemble astronomy or even talk about astronomy this much. Anyways, sit back audience, this is a slam poem and I intend to fulfill every quota. First on the list, appeal to the tortured teenager trope. All you need are Arctic monkeys, coffee, and night drives, right guys? This is for the girl who doesn't know how beautiful she is, and this is for the boy who's afraid to cry. God, I cannot wait to get out of this town. Doesn't it suck living in a clean, low-crime community with one of the best public school systems in the state? We all just want to move to New York City and keep on playing the victim, don't we? As fiercely as we all strive to assert our individuality, it's just like quicksand. The more we fight to prove that we are unique, the faster and heavier we sink underneath, because rebelling for the sake of doing so is the ultimate teenage cliche. My second requirement is, some romantic anguish.
You healed my wounds, and you dried my tears, and you saved me from myself, and then you threw me away like trash. I gave you everything, and you gave me nothing. Audience, I'll stop here. I know that this is all sounding really, really familiar, and we reserve our attention for what it deserves, and most of us agree that we want something we haven't heard a million times before. When the same phrases are used this often in poetry, it's as if we are abusing the lit device of repetition. And this lack of originality is making it harder to listen. Why should you listen if you know what I'm going to say? Next on the docket, I'm going to throw out a shocking statistic about violence, racism, or sexism so that you all will go ooh and snap your fingers, but don't fret about this aforementioned shocking statistic because you are worth it, baby, shoot for the stars, darling, and other motivational phrases in terms of endearment. Slam poetry loses its potency when it loses its ingenuity, and I can't help but feel that slam poetry has become a fill-in-the-blank, color-by-numbers, copy alliteration here and paste, dramatic sigh there, black and white vessel to rehash the same issues again and again without ever arriving at any sort of solution. We need to stop writing slam poems for the snaps and the congrats and instead write candidly on what we actually feel and think. Slam poetry becomes the opposite of what it's supposed to be when we get stuck in the rut of overused tropes, and every single poem has some sort of metaphor about constellations or glass. I love slam poetry. I love the tempo of my heart when I stand up here, and I love how words sound when they exit my lips, and I care about this too much to lose what slam poetry is supposed to be. I think it's silly to accept everything and everything, so that's why I'm challenging my very method for speaking. I'm only trying to sing the cliches in the black and white boxes that we're standing in. When we stop speaking truthfully and meaningfully, then this all becomes obsolete. Speak to say something, please. Do not simply speak for the sake of doing so, because there is a difference between moving your mouth and making sounds and actually saying something. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a 10-minute intermission where you can go get some refreshments and mugs and pins. Then we have a musical act to start the second half. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to open up the second half, we have Chappie Collective playing They Never Told Me.
All alone and I'm wishing you were right here. No nav and I don't know where to steer, You might mess around and go and make my whole year. The window's fogged but I've never seen this crystal clear, no. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me, they never told me. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me, they never told me. Tripping out on a day, you always know what to say. I know the stuff is cliche. I'll meet you at the cafe. You're so divine, I can see your face 1,000 times and never get tired of it seeping in my mind. Yeah, woo! Oh my God, you're so perfect. Stick around for a while, baby, I prefer it. Does it make sense how I feel? Probably not, girl, but I swear that I hit the jackpot, girl. Dream, bust my heart at the seams, flow through energy streams. I know you know what I mean. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me it could be like this. They never told me no. They never did. Ooh, ooh. told me nothing. They never 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 did. They never did.
With his three-word poem, Where's the Freedom? With America, the land of the free, Kyle Johnson.
Oh, well, I already messed up. Hey, how do you hire this? All right, yeah, I got it. All right, cool. All right. All right. A young man living in this world got a couple dreams to follow. I got $1 in my hand, a dream in my head, trying to make sure that my heart doesn't go hollow. I'm the mysterious messiah, one-man church choir, one man with 1,000,000 voices, so they were tired of being trapped in my mind, so I finally spoke it. Better yet, I took that pen, put it down, and I wrote it. Just think about the system and how I want to decode it. These fake rappers is Kobe, fading away like erosion. They talk about their guns, but I ain't hearing explosions. Behind that trigger is your average person. Don't believe it's words spoken. He probably got a baby mama misuse of a Trojan, living paycheck to paycheck just to feed his children. So he's rapping and trapping, talking about killing so he can get their meals in. Millions grinding for the million so they can go through a day without having to feel sick. Every day this happens real quick. People starving and getting bills paid, eviction notices on the door, ain't got no time to waste. And the baby mama looking down at her baby's face. They ain't got any food so they can sit down and say grace. They just praying to God that he could save face. Why America gotta make it the same race? You ask why kids starving just to get a bite? You ask why kids getting shot just for riding their bikes? You ask us what is wrong, man, look around, this is tight. 50 years ago we was out here just fighting for our rights, but that ain't doing nothing cause kids starving at night, hearing the sound of that gun, filling them with that fright. For someone that's just life, we out here trying to fight, but them guns and that violence ain't making nothing right. Kids yell world star till the world comes to an end, so you can retweet it on Twitter and share it with their friends. Look, I don't struggle for nothing. I go to a white school, I guess my life's quite cool, right? But I would hate to see a black kid that wins at every track meet to run it from the cops cause he's scared of getting his butt beat. Then they pull out the pistol and shoot him straight in the chest. There you go, another dead black kid with the rest. I'm out here trying to save my dark skin cause I cringe when I see Trayvon Martin. Nah, but everybody joke about it like all of this is a game. I guess Drake was right, man, nothing was the same. Let me ask you something. If I was sagging my pants with a hoodie, walking slow, you say this kid is a hood rat and he don't have a soul. Gang banging and getting money is probably all of his goals. But you judge me by my cover, you never flip to the number. You wonder why everyone puts us under and wondering why these cops is taking their kids from their mothers. That's because you base it off the looks and colors of our covers. But who am I to blame? So much ignorance in our brains that we don't feel the pain.
With the three-word poem, I'm over it. With her poem, They Are Wrong, Hanna Robertson.
Okay, oh my god. It's really loud. Alright.
Our bodies are seen as images. One side formed to be picture perfect while the other is very blank, where so many labels become imprinted into this sheet of paper. You can touch the image, yes, but are you part of the picture?
the experience that is captured by the palm of one's hand and a fingerprint. We are not images. We do not suppress the left side of our brain with the right, as they are separate for a reason. We are not fooled by the colors black and white, but yet intimidated that the color has created this image which we are not. We are composed of 206 bones that hold us together when we cannot, when we feel incapable of stability. You are not composed of the person who loved you yesterday and whom does not love you today. Buildings burn for no reason, and so do people. So when you visit the market 13 years from now and you find yourself down the same aisle you walked while you were holding a bouquet, and you reminisce on the color of your husband's eyelids and how different they were at his funeral, know that he was not an image. He was not made up of color or labels, and he was not a sheet of paper. He is made up of the millions of roses scattered around this earth in his memory for his integrity and his sincerity. He is composed of 206 bones, as you are too, and those bones did not break because he was weak. They broke because he was willing to do whatever he could to paint without color, to see without labeling, and to feel without touching. When will the world realize that feelings are inevitable, and you can feel without touching, you can whisper without speaking, and listen without hearing, and jump without a bounce? So next time you jump and your feet feel glued, take off your shoes and try again, because you are not composed of 206 bones worth nothing. You are made up of the rivers you catch drifting and the mountains you slid down yesterday, and the grasp of your grandfather's hand held in the hospital. You are composed of so much more than an image of beauty or the color or the label smacked upon your back. You will never learn to touch if you don't know how to feel, and you will never learn how to feel if you don't know how to love yourself before anyone is given the chance to do the same.
Although I disagree, her three-word poem is not a poet. With 6 things to love about 6 a.m., Mackenzie Woodworth.
All right. I'm only shaking a lot. Okay. 6 things to love about 6 a.m. 1. The way it feels to slowly pull your eyelids open like heavy drapes from a window, blinking the world into focus. Through the darkness, you fumble for the alarm clock, stretch, and yawn. On the inhale, you breathe in the morning. Take it all the way to the bottom of your lungs. Exiting on the exhale is the last whisper of your dream and what was left of yesterday. 2. How it feels to scrub the sleep away with cold water cupped in your palms, holding it the way you'd hold a tiny sparrow who'd fallen from its nest. When the cool kiss meets your cheeks, the chill is startling, but it chases the drowsiness from your features, and for the first time, you really feel awake. 3. The fluttery feeling that takes flight in your chest as you creep down the stairs through the pre-dawn darkness, treading as lightly as you can so as not to wake the other sleepers in the house. You hold your breath as you descend. The wooden boards are as creaky and as old as a grandfather's joints, and by the time you reach the last step, your heart is racing. Finally, you can breathe again. 4. How the morning outside is still and silent, save for a few persistent crickets who hold on to the night with their clicking lullaby, and the lone mourning dove who will sing the sky awake. The air is crisp and clean and new on your skin, and even though a swarm of goosebumps crawl up your arms, you don't mind the chill. 5. The way the street is still asleep, as vacant and abandoned as a ghost town. When you pull out of the drive, the only sound is the whisper of your tires against the dirt. You turn left slowly, and from the road you can see the lake below. The surface so smooth and unblemished that it looks more like glass than water. In the reflection, you can see the first rays of light peeking over the trees. 6. How the sun begins to rear its head over your dashboard in soft shades of pink and orange as you make your quiet commute to school. The world outside is beginning to wake up. You turn onto the pavement and glance at the clock beside the steering wheel, and you start to think of 7 things to love about 7 a.m.
with the three-word poem Unleash the Quiche, Superficial Superhero by Hanna Seaman.
All right, I feel like Dwight Schrute up here. We are warriors. Okay. That's for you, Catherine. Okay. Anyways, superheroes are characterized as noble do-gooders that wear flashy costumes and happen to always be in the right place at the right time. If I was a superhero, I would not be some cliche piece of muscle tirelessly spitting out catchphrases the way children tie their shoelaces. It's both messy and time-consuming. I would not be your typical Spider-Man. I would save people from the goblins attacking their mind, catch them when they fall, and show them that they are worth saving. I would save people from themselves, telling them that they are more than a body or a name, that they are a voice, demanding to be heard and deeming to be felt. I would remove their hands from their eyes, reminding them that the darkness can no longer find them, and the monsters under their bed won't bother them anymore. I would paint sunshine on their hands to remind them that the world is bright, but also dangerous, and time moves too fast to be fighting ourselves. I would pick them up out of their sandboxes of disappointment, remove the dirt from their hands, and show them the possibilities this terribly beautiful world has to offer. I would tell them that there is pain here and not all battles can be won, and there will be a time when you get the chance to fly, and the people standing on your cape will be the ones you thought were heroes. This pain you're feeling, I'll tell them, can be fixed, because if there is anything I've learned in my 16 years of existence, it's that all you need is a copy of the Tarzan soundtrack, because there is no sadness that can't be fixed by Phil Collins. Okay, maybe there is, but that's besides my point. I would show them the beauty behind each sunrise, reminding them that each one is a chance to begin again. I know that you, with the brave soul and kind eyes, want to be alone. But you see, flowers cannot grow without water, and you cannot fight your battles alone. But that's what heroes are for, picking you up when you fall. I would tell them to remember that your toughest battles will be against yourself, and the hardest part about being a hero is making yourself vulnerable to save someone else. If I was a superhero, I would save people from themselves. No cape, no costume, no superpowers. So anyways, I may be a bit clumsy, and if your problem revolves around walking correctly or jumping over things, it might not be your best choice. But hey, cheer you on. I don't believe in superheroes. A killer jawline and superhuman strength can help you get all the ladies. Okay? But it cannot express to someone that they are worth saving. The problem here is that we tend to fantasize about the impossible and saving people in extravagant ways. If I was a superhero, I would save people from themselves. Thank you.
Her three-word poem, You're a Train Wreck, with Ticking Time Bomb, Rachel Campbell.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Our generation is always rushing, rushing to grow up, to understand, rushing to be alive. Our generation is the second hand on the clock, one always trying to catch up to the other. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The idea of timing has frustrated me since I was little. Are you done yet? Are we almost there? How much longer? Timing. Two hands on a clock, one always trying to catch up to the other. I loved rushing. I shamelessly rushed until I was 12 years old. Then a loved one's clock stopped. Time was cut off, and after that I stopped rushing. I held my two clock hands over my face. Tick, Talk, I pressed pause until I was 13 years old, and no time seemed to pass for a year. In the year of 2012, there were 2 documented deaths every 3 seconds, 2 clocks that stopped ticking. May 7th, his clock stopped ticking, and I was too young to understand how important it was to take my time. Tick, tock, tick, tock. How much longer do we have until the next terrorist attack, until the next school shooting, until the next tragedy? Fragments of time making up a moment that can be life-changing or life-saving. Every 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, a new baby is born and their little infant clock starts ticking. Their life begins and ends as they take their first breath. Tick, tock. It's simple, you see. The world needs more time, more hands on the clock to hold one another, time to mourn every death that occurred in a split second, that could have been prevented in a split second. Tick, tock. Before I was even taught how to tell time, I was beating it every time test, mad minute, physical fitness test, who could run the mile the fastest. Tick, there was a strict schedule for class, for lunch, for friends, for tests, for college, for everything but time to breathe. Talk, we all wanted to speed up our clocks. We wanted to rush. Girls wanted to rush to grow up. Boys wanted girls to rush to grow up. We wanted to graduate, to get married, find a job, have babies for the moment we were in to end so we could move on to the next one. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I learned that it would only take me 30 seconds to stop my own clock from ticking. That's what I learned in the anatomy portion of my biology class. I learned what people needed to survive: blood, oxygen, food, water, but nobody ever took the time to teach me how to live. Tick, tock. Time wouldn't go so fast if we took the time to teach boys and girls about their different clock parts before we tried teaching ourselves. Girls would stop thinking their clock was only worth 15 minutes and that they had to have the perfect clock face, clock hands, clock body in order to show everybody they were having a good time. Maybe if we told them that girl clocks can go with other girl clocks and boys clocks can go with other boys clocks, and your clock hands don't always have to stay the same, boys would know their hands can do more than provide for a family, but provide love and comfort when they collide with the broken clock hands of another. Maybe, as a time-oriented society, we could stop boys and girls from chopping off their fragile clock hands and offering them to people as collateral for love. I don't believe that you can waste time on people, even if they took your beating clock heart and decapitated your 2 clock hands right in front of you, because at this time, at this point, you were all I wanted. But that time has passed. Tick, tock, teach me. Teach them how to reach out their little clock fingers and ask for help. Girls, they would start to take their time, and boys would start to use their head instead of their tick, tock, tick, tock. But then we see endless waves of broken clock hands, broken glass faces, and broken fingers reaching towards infinity, all pleading for more time. Maybe time wouldn't run out so quick if we expressed mental illness as an illness rather than a death sentence. Maybe we could keep more teenagers, more children. Maybe we could keep their clocks ticking a little longer. 18 years, 6,570 days of rushing, wanting to beat the clock by using the pointy tips on my 2 clock hands to slice my lifetime in half. I learned that time has become manufactured by men in suits, by doctors with the magical pills to get you through your hard time, by teachers saying the best time of your life is yet to come. But I just want the best time to be now, not tomorrow, not 10 years from now when I finally achieve the goals I never even wanted. I want it now. And I learned that my clock hands and your clock hands are all rushing until eventually our time runs out. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Thank you.
With their 3-word poem, Women Against Feet, with the title Like the Titanic, Jaren Ege.
That's a joke, by the way. Feet are fine. Yeah, no, they're not.
years ago on Halloween, he dressed in the skin of someone who was healthy. 2 years ago on Christmas, he stood under the mistletoe and kissed his lips and veins with chemo. 2 years ago on Christmas, his lungs came down the chimney, but we never understood how they turned black without any smoke. I love Christmas lights. Last year, we hung my dad's chest x-rays along our front porch because they lit up brighter than any tree. I love the gasping people's voices when they open up their presents. It reminds me of the sound my dad makes after a flight of stairs. It really is a magical time of year because 3 years ago he opened the screen to his own diagnosis from a doctor who claimed he was clean. It's magical because he wasn't. Did you know miracles could work in reverse too? New Year's was sure to be a better time for us though because we had gotten surprisingly well at counting down 10, 9, 8, why are you already at 4? Except they don't call it stage 4 anymore. It's metastatic and problematic and post-traumatic. Try to be charismatic. It's not like we're supposed to live forever or till next year. His hair never fell out. That was anticlimactic. But he made it a habit to hide behind his skin when his body started sinking faster than the Titanic. And we asked why he hit the iceberg and what it would take to melt it. This is a kind of natural disaster without the manners to be named after people, but maybe it's because adenocarcinoma sounds a hell of a lot scarier than Sandy. I played with sandcastles and water balloons to get accustomed to falling in love with things that would only last a few moments. I can't sleep with my phone on silent anymore. Scary things can happen at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m. Scary things have happened at 4 a.m. A car was totaled on a dirt road. A friend needed an address to stop another from killing himself. A father stopped breathing. Whenever my dad goes swimming, he asks for a snorkel and an eye on him because he's afraid the cells will crawl up his spine into his brain and inflict a seizure. Whenever my dad goes swimming, I do not blink. Love is watching someone so closely you forget to blink. Irony is watching your uncle light up a cigarette and blow the smoke into the face of your dad's lung cancer. Irony is being the only non-smoker in your family and being the one with lung cancer. I didn't know hatred until I saw the way my dad counted the number of holes IVs had pierced in his veins. I didn't know heartbreak until he apologized for the genes he passed on to me. I didn't know anger until my mom lied to me that 3 years ago, Dad's visit to the hospital was a colonoscopy when it was 2 lobectomies. Have you ever seen someone so furious they start to cry? But to die is only a fear of those who haven't lived. And I've noticed that we have a habit of burying people before they're dead, to begin grieving over those who are still alive. And yes, graves are easier to fill than dreams, but sorrow is a grave I am too grateful to lower myself into, and I will show you, because leaving is an easy art to learn, and for that I am an exceptional artist. But know that I am still better at communicating than I am at painting, and that I will listen to your words much better than your cells listen to your body's signals to stop dividing. And know that being lighthearted is the only way I know how to cope, and instead of moping, we joke, like that one time you farted and I looked at you and you said, "Leave me be, I have cancer." You saw 8 weeks of radiation therapy, but have been radiating hope for my past 18 years. I have a solar-powered happiness, and sometimes I confuse you with the sun. Some days I love every little thing about the world, and I understand you for not being able to do the same. Some days I will ask if you need help and understand when you say no, because you don't want others doing for you as long as you can do for yourself, and for that, I have an appreciation that does not die, no matter how hard the world has tried to kill it. Seni çok seviyorum, ich liebe dich, I love you. You taught me how to say I love you in so many different tongues because you knew that since this love couldn't transcend time, it should at least transcend language. This language isn't soft, but it's real. And we're here to hit icebergs, but have the patience to melt them, to look for lighthouses and become lighthouses, so I can show you the way back home when you're in the dark, so you can show me there's no need to be afraid of the dark, so we can show them to love beginnings as much as endings. 3, 2, 1.
Her 3-word poem is Nipples Are Overrated. With Out Loud, Hanna Grinling.
Okay, I didn't think he was going to actually say it, but he did. So. Okay. You've never been one for public speaking. In kindergarten, you would cry in front of the entire school, reading a paper you wrote entitled, My Favorite Smells. Sophomore year, you toy with the idea of promptly throwing up in the middle of an individual presentation before deciding it was too risky. Junior year, you'd receive a rubric from a speech you did in class with one word written on it, breathe, and it was underlined 3 times. And even this year, you would bomb a French oral so bad that your mom would lovingly nickname you Choke Master. You've never been one for public speaking or really speaking at all. It was never shyness or nerves. You just like to keep your words collapsed in on themselves like crossword puzzles in your chest. People talk too much anyway. Before you realized there was something different about yourself, words were like white noise that would sometimes slip from between your lips, an extra bit of nothingness to add to a world that was already far too loud. But when the words you let fall started to taste bitter on your lips, you realized there was a pretty big difference between choosing your words and letting them choose you. Suddenly, your crossword puzzles would become word searches with no bank. You'd learn that there's a pretty big difference between having a girl crush and having a crush on a girl, and only one of them is okay to say out loud. You'd stop smiling in pictures with your teeth. You used to think that you didn't need a label, but that was before you found a word to describe what had been keeping you awake at night, and it was scary, and it was clumsy, and it burnt your cheeks as you held it like a hot coal in your hands, waiting to be swallowed. The word still escapes you. Scratch that, you escaped the word the first time you said it out loud. A bitter swill ran through the back of your throat so strong you had to lie down. Maybe it's because of the time you heard your mom say she didn't get it, or because you watch a lot of TV and the girls who like girls never make it out alive. But even now, you stand embarrassed to say a word that literally means you're all of. Rather, you hold it to your chest at night, warm, crumbling, fed by ashy whispers of secrets and sugar-laced stories, the names of all the stupid boys you've liked, and all the pretty girls you've stared a little too long at. The ashes dirtied your bed sheets, but you kept the ember, knowing that someday it would taste delicious on your lips, just not yet. Instead, you found words and drinks that went down more easily, glass bottles, chipped teeth, and red solo cup teenage cliches, wandering around parentless houses, drinking the remnants of God knows what. They didn't taste as sweet as your ember, but the burning in your belly and the flush of your cheek let you trick yourself into thinking it was the same thing, because the more people drink, the less they listen, and the less they listen, the easier it is to say things out loud. You realized it was okay to kiss girls as long as you were drunk, as long as it was funny, as long as everyone could watch, as long as you didn't feel, as long as it wasn't real. In the morning, you always swore that you couldn't remember anything, but really you had just added to the roster of things you could never forget. You used to hate messy people. And then you became a messy people. You resigned yourself to being a not-so-hot piece of trash, and you certainly looked the part. It was New Year's Eve, and you had just thrown up on yourself at a party, and after being tossed into a broken shower, you lay in a stranger's bed wearing a stranger's underwear so trash that you cannot feel your own teeth. By some miracle of God or wrath of Satan, you managed to not only find your phone, but dial a number where, for the first time, you loudly confessed to a friend of a friend that you like to kiss boys and girls. This is your coming out story, and it didn't include as much crying or as many heartfelt moments as you'd expected, and about 8 times as much alcohol as you'd ever hoped, but you did learn 2 things that night. 1, Jaeger, so bad for you. So bad. 2, some things are not impossible to say out loud. On New Year's Day, you drive home in the snow. And after slipping up the staircase, you get on your hands and knees and crawl away and tuck away the messy pieces of yourself into the closet.
You'd find a note you wrote on your phone that you don't remember that just said, "You don't need to convince anyone else you're real, they already believe you." Once you start saying the words out loud, you won't be able to stop them from bumblebee ballooning from your chest. You'll blurt out to your brother, "I like girls," and he'll look out the window for a moment quietly, then respond, "I guess we have that in common." You'll be driving down the road with your best friend and an ice cream cone busting at the seams to tell the only secret you've managed to keep for more than 45 seconds. When you reach to turn down the radio, "I Kissed a Girl" by Katy Perry will come on, and you'll laugh so hard you cry because you just know that God or whoever is up there is having a field day and you're finally in on the joke. You'll tell your favorite teacher and he'll respond, "Kinda saw that coming." And you'll be a little pissed that he didn't warn you, but also very happy that somebody noticed. You'll tell your mom, not because you want to and not really because you're ready, but because the thought of it had made your hand shake for 3 days and it was really getting in the way with your non-existent makeup game, and because no one really deserves to know the truth more than she does. So you'll quell a stress vomit and somehow manage to say the words out loud. She'll respond, "Hannah, you could literally tell me you murdered somebody and I'd still love you." Right then and there, you'd watch the girl with the crooked eyeliner and the sweaty palms die in front of you, and the word homicide would start to taste like licking brown sugar off your lips. Sometimes acceptance feels like giving up when you've grown accustomed to staying afloat, but it turns out there's a big difference between drowning and getting out of the pool because this isn't a game of The Sims. There's a ladder, and if you came up for long enough to look around, greatest gamer, to look around, you would see that your friends, your family, are standing on the sidelines with towels and floaties and cherry popsicles waiting for you to ask for help. Summer would come, and you wouldn't need your Ember to keep you warm anymore because it was sweeter and richer than you could ever imagine. You'll crack the windows in your bedroom and yell to the spring peepers who chirp in the swamp. You'll crank down the windows in your car and listen to Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson so many times that strangers at stoplights will beg you to stop. You'll laugh when you realize that the closet in your bedroom literally doesn't have a door on it. And you'll smile and end this poem the only way you know how, with a quote from your old childhood friend, Shrek the Ogre. Better out than in, I always say.
With the 3-word poem, Destroy the Patriarchy, and MDD, Elena Green.
Oh, easier than I thought, wow. Hey, fam. Just kidding. All right. This is called an MDD. The first time he knocked on my door, okay, I'd just been dumped. Which is to say that I was 12, and he was 12, and I actually dumped him with a note I'd written in my notebook before the assembly. But it's okay. Because it was this really dope High School Musical notebook. It had Chad on the cover, so I had to use it sometime. Anyway, I dumped him 3 days after we had held hands in the back of the auditorium. And looking back on it, I don't exactly remember why I crushed his heart, which is to say that perhaps it's for the same reason that I held his in my hand and squeezed it into powder the moment it had started beating. You see, I happen to write love poems without knowing how to love in the first place, never knowing if he knows exactly what he's getting into before we plummet, which is to say he plummets and I become a light switch, which is to say that whenever I see a phone call or your face, my chest concaves, my soul wants to leap out to kiss your neck, which is to say that I understand that I'm unworthy of being loved by someone who has eyes that can't see me for what I am. I am trophy cases of an abandoned high school, which is to say that sometimes I won't eat for days. I am the gospel of a virgin sacrifice, which is to say I'm still deciding whether to stay in bed or stay in the shower, whichever will allow me to suffocate the longest, you see. I am veins but not rivers, which is to say I'll try to hurt everything that reminds me of myself, such as lumpy mattresses or window panes or brick walls or you, so that maybe one day they will learn to hate me again. The second time you knocked on my door, you had hung your jacket alongside my skin, which you claimed would fit your needs for the time being. That my neck bones and kneecaps looked so good on a silver platter, which is to say that sometimes I forgot I had a reflection because I'd be so focused on gaining your approval, and I would envelop myself into my shell and wait to be hit in the middle of the road, which is to say I don't understand why I would vie for your affection, for to you my voice was classical music, or your mother, since you learned to tune both of us out. I stopped crying because the last time I did, I tried to drown myself in my own body, which is to say I don't understand why I keep sleeping in your bed and swooning over your nightmares, my dreams. I am the twin after the suicide, you see. Which is to say I'm not going to last that much longer with or without you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I cut your strings before the performance began and let you believe that I could only swim. I'm sorry that I can only see the pockets of the stars who have died and made you remember how to sin. And I'm sorry that I caught my throat and dropped my breath when you entered the room. I'm sorry I never arrived. I'm sorry that you honestly will never see this poem. And I'm sorry that this is the only way I can get you to understand without carving my hands, wrapping them in paper, and then giving them to you. So I'll have to learn how to speak. The third time you brought irises, I turned the lights off, opened a window, brought you your blue cup. You sang again. Braided my hair, I smiled, folded my wings into a box and gave them to a skeleton, which is to say, I learned how to breathe.
Her three-word poem is Baby Come Home, with the closing dance, Rebecca Stiles.
I'm like not as talented as her, so I need this, but also really hoping there's not lipstick on my teeth, but it happens. Forgive me, life. I've been absent. I've been hiding in bed all day and behind a bottle at night, passing different lives every minute, and treating them as if they're canned soup in a grocery aisle. Forgive me, feet. I've been standing in the same place, with the same shoes and unchallenged ties, believing there was gum to keep me stuck, but only living in an illusion. Forgive me, lips. I've been unkind. Slipping past the fence of my teeth came words slicked in animosity, apathy, anguish, deceit, and lies, songs to wake children up once I rocked them to bed. Tongue that has met the burn of a cigarette and plagued others with the memory. Forgive me, hands. I've been destroying, I've been tearing down the paper from the walls, ripping the tiles off the floor, slamming pictures and vases to the ground, cutting my fingers against the blades of sharp knives to watch the blood bleed down my palm. Create a painting, leave a mark on everything that I touch. Forgive me, eyes, I've been blinded. The sun made me do it, the glare made me squint. It put a filter on my iris, it only let in the bad, the ugly, the world I thought to be true, the sight of a murder and not a loss. baby crying, and not the mother who brought life. Forgive me, ears. I've been deaf. I chose not to hear the I love yous or the kindness, but the self-hate that roared over the ties, the gluttonous screams for more instead of the undertone. That I have the tools to give me what I need. Forgive me, friends. I've been lackluster. I've been chasing good times instead of good people, absent when present, guilty of a chipped shoulder when you needed it to lie on, God in myself rather than your presence. Driving with the radio on a little too loud. Inconsiderate, inconsistent, incapable, inept. Forgive me, Dad. I've been faltering. I've been teetering on the tightrope for too long. You've been shaking the line. I've been walking on eggshells. We've both placed, stealing your sweatshirts to make a home, and I'm afraid I can't return to mine. Distancing myself from a lifeline. Forgive me, Mom. I'm growing. Admittedly into more of a pain, into a wild cannon with a short wick coated in gasoline. Don't correct yourself when you go to say cheddar. My pronunciation is wrong, and don't stop crying when you laugh. You've spent too much money on wrinkle creams for wrinkles that I've given you, and tears are rejuvenating. Know that I reciprocate the love that has been placed on the mat. Even when I lock the door, know that I know you care. Forgive me, love. I've been abused, and I abuse you. You see, I fell asleep to lullabies of goodbyes. I believed you come in the shape of meet me at midnight. Don't tell anyone. We only have right now. You shouldn't meet my parents. She was the only one that made me feel something, but you can try. You can't resist me. I know more. I like your hair long. I like your eyes dim. I like your lips closed, but your legs open and your clothes off. I love you. Now, turn off the lights. With this, forgive me, skin. I've been lying. You see, the bruises weren't like a dark sunset or a painting. They weren't like any elementary cliche. They were bruises, damn it. They didn't belong on your skin. They were a door that opened to hell. They were foreign. Your body didn't belong to him. Your body didn't belong on top of him. Forgive me, lover, I've been distant. I've been turning away when you touch me. I've been peeking when we kiss. I've been memorizing your face for when you leave. I've been pinching my skin where you glazed over to ready myself for the pain, expecting the blow that you have not delivered. I've been seeing an expiration date that hasn't been printed. Please, continue to hold my hand. Continue to surprise me, to prove me wrong, to ease my fears, to see the yellow and green, the good and goodbye, the 7 turns of a locked door, the slow tempo in your heart compared to mine, the pink in your cheeks that remind me of a child, and the white in mine that compared to the roses you got me. The nightmares that you wake me up from, the nervous kiss at 2 a.m. and the one again at 7 a.m. The dates that lasted 12 hours continue to make me love you. And believe me when I say, I love you. Forgive me, life. I'll be there tomorrow. Forgive me, feet. I'll start moving. Forgive me, friends. I'll see you tonight. Forgive me, lover. I'll be right here. Forgive me, Rebecca, I'll figure it out eventually. Forgive me, the devil. I don't have the rhythm to keep up with your dance anymore. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Thank you.
With the 3-word poem, Say Yes Less, her poem, Welcome Home, Maria Puertas.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wait, I need to fold these the opposite way real quick. When you become someone new, molting, shedding, losing old skin, just like trees shed dry leaves each fall, you will want to reject. You won't want to put on the new jacket, even if it is more comfortable. I imagine that trees, too, never want to part ways with their leaves, but this is normal. There's nothing wrong here. So step onto the doormat. Shake off the dirt. This is you welcoming yourself home. Pull tightly in. This should feel delicious and disgusting and confusing all at once. This is a new season of mine. I'm not yet sure what its name is or if it is hot or cold here, but I do know it is soft. This feels like home, and I feel safe here. It's all good. I'm not used to softness, but I think this is how it should be, how it's supposed to be. I can now touch the skin on my stomach without fires burning my fingertips. I am no longer too strong for my own body. I believe this is something called acceptance. I'm teaching myself how to melt, to fit into shapes I never have before, letting go of my insides as they turn from solid to liquid form. Change is a beautifully ugly thing. And I am water. I am fluid. I am no longer convinced that strength is the only way to feel empowered. Softness builds upon itself in layers. I build upon myself in layers soon. My skin will be full of new cells instead of being my own armor. This is the process, and I am trusting it. I have found refuge in those that ask the right questions. I am learning how to let my tears stain other shoulders instead of my own cheeks, to say no. Today, I do not feel okay. This is not easy, and tears, words take their time with their arrival. But when they come, they are real. This is rare and refreshing. Becoming soft. This is the easiest and most difficult thing I have done all at once. So welcome yourself home. Shake your feet off at the door and step inside. There's no key needed to enter. You are welcome here. Begin to melt while the sun is soaking you in through an open window and a gentle breeze is saying hello to your eyelids. You taste like black coffee on slow Sunday mornings, and yes, I am talking to myself. Your dead skin lays on the floor. It's skin that you don't need anymore. You have molted. Allow it to stay there. This is how I'm learning to melt. And there's no rush in this process. It is slow, it is confusing, and most of all, it is beautiful.
With the three-word poem, Ranch Dressing, underrated. With his poem, We Hear You, Mike Minton.
Just like this candle, very underrated, my friends, very. This This is for the kids who cry, for the kids with the broken past, for the kids with an even more shattered family. We hear you. To the kids who's troubled, beaten for every reason and every season, with lash marks that bear scars, hits that crumble you into bits, till bit by bit you are no longer a kid. We hear you. To the kid who was singled out because he can't escape the jungle gym in time to get the lunch he can't afford, because his father is nowhere to be seen, and his mother is struggling 2 jobs, 9 to 5, 5 to 9, each day just to stay afloat. But the ship is sinking, so he stays in the monkey bars to keep him from drowning, feeling that the closest thing he has to safety is feeling alone. To the kids whose parents couldn't stop fighting, feuding only to tug at war with her heart and push and pull as if she were a rope, but the string was too fragile and broke like the glass dish that he threw at her, shattering into 1,000 pieces. Just like the marriage, just like the house, just like her heart, we hear you. To the not so smart, but also kind-hearted, asked, "What are you, stupid?" as it echoes through the halls in his mind, but stops at the gate of his heart, for he sees abuse and bitterness, but only knows love and forgiveness. We hear you. To the unsung just kids, to the unloved drugged up kid, to the damaged, bandaged, but barely managed to get by kid, to the invisible, feeling miserable kid, we hear you. To get beaten down day by day, and you just try to get away, and your teacher asks, "Hey, how was your day?" And you smile. A smile. Something that is so simple but carries so much. You feel the bruises and the aches and the pains, but it holds away for only a moment. And in that moment, your emotions rush through your heart and up the windpipe, but your mind is telling them no, but the heart says yes. But the emotions sink. And it hangs heavy like a ball and chain, and the only thing that can come out is, "It's good. I guess I'm good," with a little smile and a little laugh, just to hide the real you. Because this isn't you. You know the real you, and we hear you. The kids who are oppressed, bounded by barriers and chains, walls that sink into the pain like roots, to the core, to the mute. The kids who say the words "I can't" because they have engraved the words "you can't" into everything they ever were. You can't write, you can't draw, you can't read fast enough, you're weak to rush. So this is to you. Turn the "I can't" into "I can," and we will hear you. I can write, I can draw, I can read, I am strong. Say it and we will hear you. Let it be known that you can't mute creativity. They gave you a marble slab notebook and a pencil to chisel your story with. Nothing is stopping you from creating a masterpiece. Stand firm. Carve in your roots, your stories, your struggle. Let it be known, let it be heard, let it be sung. Let us hear you, because we do hear you.
One more round of applause for all the poets, please. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you're paying attention, you're walking away with something. It's your responsibility to do something with it. Have a good night.